What's up? Welcome to my another tutorial in Python. And today's video I'm going to look at inheritance. I'm going to look at inheritance in Python. Okay, so I'm going to make it very simple and also very easy for us to understand. So inheritance, we are now inheriting from one of the class. Let's say if I have a class called this person, and then I'm gonna actually say def init. Okay, and then I'm gonna have things like this, first name comma last name. Okay, so then from there I have to now initialize this one, assignment. So self dot first name equals to first name, self dot lname equals to lname. Then from there now I'm gonna actually create an object from this one. Person one is equal to that class, and then I'm gonna pass in Mike and then that. Okay, now what you're doing today is you can create another class. Okay, we can create another class. What this is going to be now is that once we create another class, we have to inherit these properties. Okay, so the name of this person as well as the first name and the last name. Okay, so now we understand how to go about just doing that. Okay, now we don't actually want to, let's say we pass in, and then I can also put, if you followed me, I can also put a method. Let's say this method could just print name. Okay, then I'm gonna actually pass in the self. Okay, so what this is happening, just a method, and then because there is a self that is attached to these properties, then I'm going to say I'm going to just print at this point. Okay, so self dot, okay, let me just say self dot last name, maybe first name. Okay, and then also maybe last name, so self dot last name. Okay, so now I create this object, and then I'm just going to print this now, the method there. What's going to happen is that when you look at what I'm going to say is this person one, okay, p1 dot this function, which is a method, just printing the name. Okay, so I don't have to pass in anything because what I'm getting this p1, which has got these values. Okay, and this is a value that I'm attaching to this function. Okay, so if I do the print, I'm using sublime. It's going to be Control B. Okay, so we expect that to come up. Okay, so now you can see that we've got a name that is being printed out. And now what's going to happen is we're now going to create another class. So this is what we call parent class. Okay, so this is more like the parent class. Okay, and then now what's going to happen is let me create another class. Okay, so create child class. So this child class is going to inherit everything here. Okay, it's going to inherit everything there. Okay, so let's say another class. So another class, let's call it what can we call it? Make it simple, student. Okay, so now because we want this class to have whatever properties this class add based on the object that we are orienting, so we have to now pass in this class. The moment we pass in that, it has now everything. So I can also create an object. Okay, I'm going to say because everything, this is a new class. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I can create an object. Okay, let's see what is going to happen. So maybe I'm going to say my student, okay, equals to whatever student is this, and I pass in the actual thing. So I'm gonna say, okay, why don't we say that we have James, comma, James Lee. Okay, make it simple. James Lee. So okay, so let me just comment on this one so that we don't get anything there. Okay, so now, oh my god, okay, so oh come on. Okay, so forget about that error. So let's see what this error is talking about. Indentation. Okay, so after class definition, line 15. So okay, so it's needed something like that, and then I can use something called pass, because I don't want to put anything, so we can use the keyword pass. Okay, okay, so that error goes off. Okay, now we create now what is called my student. Now what do we want to do? So we want now to print, let's just say print, I'm going to say my student dot face name. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, so we have the face name is James. What if we say like this? You can call it twice. Okay, so if I just want to call it twice, okay, let me have a function. This is a child class method. I'm gonna say that self, print self going to print now self self dot first name, comma, self dot name. And now once I do this, what's going to happen is I can just call this method by saying child, my student dot child. Okay. What's the error now? What am I getting here? Line 20, what's happening? Okay, so they're saying self is not defined. Okay, what kind of self? Oh, sorry, self is this was wrong. Okay, so okay, so now we can see that we have now the output that is correctly done. We have James Lee, okay, and then the other class has some object with the actual value of the properties Mike Water. Okay, so now what I've just done here is just to do a summary. We have the first class called person, okay, which is called the parent class. So this class, as we know it, it's going to have these properties: first name, last name, and then we have the method. This method just helping us to print these properties as one output. Okay, and this is what we are doing now. So we said this is an object on the first class, okay, and also calling the method. Okay, so why didn't we actually put print is because it's already actually printed right there on line 11. We are printing this, so all we needed was just to call it without the print function, or rather keyword. And then from there now we create now a second class called student, okay, because we know that the student is a person and that student is going to have a name which is last name and the first name. So we pass in the first name. So once we pass in this class, so I mean whatever the object, whatever the properties of that class, or the properties that we're supposed to orient on the actual object, first name and last name, they are also together passed on to the student class, which is a child class. Okay, so that's a child class. And then from there we just define a method. Okay, so anything that is defined inside a class is usually called a method. Okay, and we pass in self because the self is attached to these properties, as you can see, the first name and last name. Then from there we create an object to now specifically orient this class. So my student equals to student, and then we pass in the actual name of whatever student we have. Okay, and then we call out on line 24, we call out this. Okay, so we don't have to say print. We don't have to say print. Okay, because it's already printed right here. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. And now we get the results that you can see now. So I can even say here I can say okay, so from child class, okay, from child class. And yeah, so let's see how that will look like. Okay, so Control B. Okay, so you can literally see on my output screen here, you can see from child class we have James Lee. Okay, and also from the parent class we can say okay. Okay, so it says from parent class we have this guy who. So it says from parent class we have Mike Water, from child class we have James Lee, and let me remove this thing called print, because that is printing twice the object. Okay, so now we can see properly. Okay, so that's the meaning of inheritance. So from this part now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be able to share with you more about now how we can be able to maintain or rather separate this thing from the classes. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Remember to support, subscribe, like this video. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.